Raising a baby is a $23 billion industry with roughly 4 million babies born in the U.S. annually. The remarkable power of technology is infiltrating the world of parenting, and over the next 2 days, we're here to explore and discover the latest innovations to make waves in the market. So let's kick off this with our first session. We're diving into digital parenting and spotlighting the technologies that are enabling parents to be extremely hyper-connected. I'm thrilled to introduce Good Housekeeping's Chief Technologist, Rachel Rothman, who oversees all of consumer tech in Good Housekeeping magazine, along with various brand extensions, who will lead this discussion to showcase some of the frontrunners that are delivering these innovative tools.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to CES. As mentioned, I am the Chief Technologist at Good Housekeeping, which means that I oversee all of our product testing across all of our categories. So CES is always a really landmark time for us to see everything that's going on, all these really exciting innovations and announcements and happening. And on the personal front, I'm a mother of 2 young girls. I sat out the last CES. I very cleverly timed my pregnancy to the week of CES. So for all those out there who are wondering how to avoid coming back to CES, have a baby, and that's the way to do it. I didn't time it so well the year before, and my first day back from maternity leave with my first child was actually at CES. So I can very much say I am very comfortably in this position right now to talk about digital parenting and all the technology and tools that you can be using. And I couldn't be more thrilled than to have this group of amazing founders and innovators in the space to talk about what they're doing and some of the really exciting announcements. So I'll have all of them introducing themselves, starting with Jocelene at Babylist.
Sure. Thank you, Rachel. I'm Jocelene Kwan. I'm the VP of Strategy and Business Operations at Babylist. If those of you who don't know, Babylist is a life stage company, and we sit at this really interesting intersection of registry technology where parents can add anything and everything that's really meaningful for them to their baby registries. We also have...
I used it. Thank you very much. It's amazing. You should all use it if you're going to have a child.
Thank you for using us. We also have really incredible editorial content to help our users navigate these incredibly complex and confusing categories. And then third, we sit at the intersection with commerce, and we have our own boutique that is a distribution channel for a lot of really great products that we really believe in and love. We're the #3 registry out there now after Amazon and Target.
And if you guys all also don't mind mentioning if you have any children, because I think just adding that personal touch will be helpful for this particular panel.
I have a 14-month-old, and I would say, honestly, I wish I had known about Babylist when I was building my registry. And I will do it next time.
My name's Jordan Monroe. I'm one of the co-founders at Owlet Baby Care. I am a father of 3 little boys, so I have a little...
I have 2 very cute girls at home. I'm just saying.
Something needs to calm them down because they are just insanity times 3. Yeah, we started Owlet about 6 years ago. And Owlet is a little baby sock that uses pulse oximetry. It's that little red light that you put on your finger when you go to the hospital. It tells the doctor that you're breathing okay and that you're okay. Basically, we wanted to give that same technology and that reassurance to parents in the home. So it's a little baby sock, goes on a baby's foot, and can notify parents if they need to go check in on their baby. And that's me.
Fantastic.
How you doing? How you doing? Eric White, founder and CEO over at Miku. It's that big booth over there. Basically built the world's most advanced baby monitor that can monitor your child's breathing and sleep patterns with no wires and wearables. Like Jordan, I'm a father of 2. My daughter, I started working on this 4 years ago when she was born. I have a son now that's 1.5 years. And the first time I got a baby monitor, a video baby monitor, I was staring at it with my wife on the couch. And all I could see was like a little blob. I'm like, is she okay? Like, I don't know. We kept running in the room to check and see if she was breathing. And it turns out she was always fine. We were the ones that kind of woke her up and stuff. So I have a background in building technology for the military that can monitor vital signs. So I combined the 2 concepts, and I came out with Miku.
Hello, my name is Mekking. I'm the CEO of Babyscan. Babyscan is the world's first ultrasound scanner that's connecting with an app, so you can see your child growing from the begin stage till the time that it's still born. I've a father of 5 children, so...
Got to show us all up, huh?
Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, guys. And I just want to applaud you guys. It's a really exciting time, but a really overwhelming time. And I think we can all speak to that point, you know, as parents, having been there. And never is there a period of time where you have such a short amount of time to ingest a lot of information and make a lot of really important purchasing decisions. So I'll throw it out to you guys if you don't mind starting off and just talking about how do you not build upon the fear and instead, you know, create an environment that is helpful and nurturing? Because like you mentioned, a lot of it for the two of you guys, it relates to sleep and then potentially breathing. And I know as a new parent, I was literally sitting there putting my hand on top of my child and being like, are they breathing? Making sure, and running in, you know, every few minutes just to make sure. And like you said, you know, most of the times it was fine. So how do you create an environment that isn't building upon their deepest, darkest fears and instead a positive?
Yeah, so for me, it was all about peace of mind. I don't want to like give too much information about, you know, what's wrong with your baby and alert you and cause more anxiety. For me, it was really a pain point for me, my wife, and many other parents was, hey, was the baby okay? So that's how we designed our entire user interface. That's our first release. When you open the app, it just shows you your baby's breathing. And you open the app, and all of our beta testers and people that have been using the app now for over a year, they tell me they don't even look at the video and the audio anymore. They open their phone for a second, they see that waveform, and they just feel better. The baby's fine. They go back to doing what they were doing before. I don't want to build this whole ecosystem around alarms and alerts and saying your breathing's too fast, it's too slow. We can do all those things and very well. We can even predict things like colds and enlarged tonsils in the future. But we're going to do that very slowly and very methodically. We're not just going to launch it, you know, in a way that's going to scare parents.
Thank you. Eric, do you have anything to add to that? No, very so. So you were talking about some of your first users and feedback that they provide.
No, I was going to jump in. I said who because you said Eric, I think.
Sorry. Jordan.
No, yeah. Yeah, I think, you know, we look at it from 2 ways.
I have baby brain still 2 years later. I apologize, Jordan.
You can keep using the excuse. That's okay. You know, we think of it from 2 ways. One is, you know, from the marketing perspective, like you mentioned, like you don't have to really hammer down the problem that you're solving. You can just say what you're providing and parents get it. You know, you can say, you know, notifies you if something is outside the norm, and parents understand exactly what's happening. So we don't feel like we have to bang that drum very loudly because it's already on the top of our minds, right? And then from the other side, you know, we really try to abstract away the data and just try to get to the insight. So instead of like going really detailed into, you know, here was every single heartbeat last night, you know, we just say, look, baby's good. We literally have a little base station and it just glows green. And green means good, you know, and we just try to abstract that away and just get to the insight because that's what matters. You know, we don't want mom to be sitting there like trying to do some math and think to herself, well, it was 120 before and it's 125 now. What does that really mean?
You can't do math in those days after having a baby. You can't do it.
Just skip to the insight. So that's how we think about it.
And I just want to add, I think Babylist cares incredibly about reassuring parents that you can be a great parent no matter what your budget, and helping people think about finding the right product for them versus the right product that will make them the best parent. And so I think a lot of that is thoughtful editorial and marketing that is about reassuring and being on the journey versus playing into that, well, if you don't know that thing, you're failing in some way. And so much of marketing in this industry is that way. So I think it's being very thoughtful as you talk about what your product does, but also why it exists.
I very much agree with that. Something that resonates with our audience all the time is when there's a real problem that it's solving, which all of you guys are doing. When you identify something that people know is wrong or that they want a solution for, and then you're solving for it in a really clear way, I think that, you know, very much is in line with what we see as well. If you don't guys mind diving into some of the things around the data and the analytics, because I think this is a show where we're going to be talking a lot about data, a lot about machine learning, a lot about AI. Has there been any kernels of information that any of you guys have found that you were either surprised by or moved by or kind of like an aha moment? Anything in a treasure trove of data that you guys found?
Yeah. For me, I know I started this whole thing for personal peace of mind. And as we collected more data, I started finding out things like my daughter and our son, they stopped breathing for periods of time throughout the night, which is completely normal, by the way. But it scared me at first, and I learned, wow, what else can we learn from this? And it turned out my daughter had to get her tonsils out. And I learned that some of the stuff I was seeing in her early data as my first beta tester was indications of that. I could tell if a baby's getting sick or an oncoming cold, or I don't know, maybe asthma or sleeping condition. So I'm really excited about the opportunities it can unlock going forward.
Yeah, we had a similar experience. 3 years ago, my co-founder's baby was kind of intermittently kind of holding her breath throughout the night. And we showed the data to the pediatrician, and we said, is this normal? And he says, we don't know. We've never had, we don't know how babies breathe throughout the night. This could be totally normal, or this could be, top 3%. And what's pretty interesting is as we've, mined our data and looked at things, we've actually seen that infant apnea is way more normal, but the truth is we just don't know about it as parents, right? No one's ever had this data on, and what's really exciting is to think, well, what does that mean for the future? Is there something that, babies that hold their breath earlier, does that mean something later on in life? Also we've got close to 500,000, data points, right? Users that we can look at their data, and we've been able to see on our side certain conditions like heart conditions, with one condition called SVT, where a baby's heart rate will jump up to 300 beats per minute and stay up there for hours until they can see a physical distress and take the baby in. Sickness, we've been able to see that the heart rate comes up a little bit and before you're seeing any symptoms of sickness. So we've just hired a large data science team to start and actually make sense of this. And what's really exciting is that Apple's opened up a pretty exciting doorway with the new ECG monitor, which is they have a software as a medical device, right? So that doesn't, running on top of a consumer device, right? That's kind of mind-blowing. If we thought 5 years ago that would happen, and I don't think any of us would have predicted it, but the idea that we could build a software that says, hey, we see an interesting trend, go get that, clinically, validated, and then push that to our users is pretty exciting. That, hey, we'll notify you if there's a sickness, we'll notify you if there's a heart condition, we'll notify you of all these things, and that right now we just don't know about, right? Like it's a rough and tough time right now. When you get home, it's just survival. You're just trying to sleep through the night. You don't have time to think about a lot of these other things that could go wrong. So
it's very true. My mantra for the first year of life for both my kids was survive, not thrive. Just get through it. Almost made it for the second one through the first year. One more week to go. Almost there. If you guys don't mind elaborating in terms of the connection with the doctors, which with the three of you guys can probably speak to. So you're consumer-facing devices, but the insights can be used to then share with medical providers. Are you guys working directly with medical providers? How are you suggesting kind of the collaboration happen with that? Hans, I see you're eager to jump on this one.
Normally we say you have to do it by yourself to go to the doctor, but we can make with the pictures that we make. These are 3D, so you can send them to the doctor, and then they can decide if you have to come, yes or no. We can decide that, but the doctor can. So if you can send it, that's quick, easy, so that you be faster over there.
I'm contemplating getting pregnant right now just to use your device. I want you to know. My husband, I hope he's not listening right now because he's not going to let me in bed with him when we leave here. I'm working towards the 5 number.
Yeah, so we're in a 5,000-hour IRB-approved clinical study in the natal intensive care unit. And what we do is we have our monitor on an IV pole mounted over the baby while the baby's wired up to the patient monitor in the hospital. And we've designed our alarm system to work the same as the patient monitor. And what happened is a lot of parents came up to me and they said, once my baby's off all this life-preventing technology or life-saving technology that's monitoring my baby, what do I do when I go home? They said, how do I get this device? So now we're trying to do a partnership with the hospital where you start getting used to your Miku in the NICU. You can log in and see your baby while it's there and it's premature. And when you come home, you take the Miku with you and you learn about the interface ahead of time.
Amazing. Anything else in terms of partnerships? I know it's a space you have to be kind of sensitive in terms of the data and what you're sharing. But are there any other partnerships that you guys see on the horizon, or people that you're looking forward to work with? Jocelene, you too. I mean, you obviously partner with troves of different people. Are there any collaborations that you're really excited about? Mentioning, Apple and sensors that they're having. So any integration or touch points or brands you guys are excited to work with? Big, broad, open question.
Yeah. I think a large macro kind of partnership that needs to happen that you're kind of hinting toward is that there needs to be this bridging the gap between these sensors that are seeing some pretty insightful things at home and connecting that with the doctors. And I think that's going to take clinical studies, like you said, and just some time. But I think that's going to be a really amazing time when, because you care so much about your child, and you've got you don't see the doctor for a few months, right? You know, at first it's 2 weeks, and after that it's every few months.
It's nerve-wracking.
Yeah, and so the fact that there's so much more data at home now than there is there, and being able to bridge that gap is going to be a really amazing time, and I'm really excited for it. But that's, I think, from a macro view, what's pretty exciting.
I think similarly, the one thing I'm really excited about the user data we have is that we see 20 million plus registry items added, and we know what they are, when they're added, what brands and what categories. And so we use that and we see patterns such as when smart monitors pick up, all of a sudden the price points for monitors we're seeing added, what brands they're from. So we're seeing the adoption happen even before the sales are being realized. So I think there's a lot of potential there to work more closely with up-and-coming brands and technologies that are trying to reach market and trying to look for when will that point tip with their consumers so they can really see pickup.
I think to that point, like you're saying, you can monitor the intent of people, not even just the purchase, which I think is hugely interesting. Are there certain other categories that you're seeing? Baby monitors is obviously a huge one. Are there other ones that you're surprised by that are kind of picking up steam, that are almost at that tipping point, that inflection point?
Actually, we're going to launch a insight study in about 4 weeks that actually talks exactly about those things, so stay tuned. I think the really interesting thing is people start this journey about baby products 6 months before baby shows up. And there's this really long consideration period.
Some people even before.
Even before. There's definitely people who are just looking, planning years ahead. And understanding what it takes to make it to the list of consideration and not get kicked off, because actually 50% of items added to those registries are deleted. So how do you first get aware with your consumer and actually stay in the consideration set as they're adding and trimming and editing and finally making the cut to be in the home with you and baby?
Something that we find is that safety is the number one most important thing when it comes to the baby space, which isn't the case in a lot of other categories. Are there other kind of themes that you're seeing, price sensitivity, or it needs to have certain features? Are there other kind of like key things that are resonating with consumers that you can share?
Yeah, I would say one of the key trends we notice, especially, and I think speaks to the success of these other folks here, is that categories that have seen high innovation are seeing people willing to pay for that innovation. And other categories where we really haven't seen much happen are seeing stagnation or price compression, right? Monitors have seen tremendous growth in the last year.
Because there's so much innovation happening in the space.
Exactly. And you can just name off the top of your head all the other baby categories that really haven't changed in the past 30 years. The form factor and the functionality isn't that different than what your parents used.
So kind of jumping around a little bit, but on that topic, what was the one baby product that you guys literally couldn't live without? Or that you were really surprised by? For me, I'm very excited to try all of your products on my next go-around, but I happen to really love the Duna. I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with it, and that was more about form factor, which was an innovation in and of itself, less a technology-driven one. But for all of you parents out there, if you have a kid under the age of 1, it's a car seat that converts from a car seat into a stroller. So it's like an all-in-one, and it's fantastic, particularly for travel, or if you live in New York City like me and you're like jumping in and out of cabs. So I couldn't have even predicted I would love/need this device, but it became indispensable to me. Is there something that you guys all found indispensable in your parenting journey?
Yeah, for me it was the Four Moms rocker. Like, my kid loved that thing, and both my kids loved that thing. My kid would stay in there for hours, and then that also motivated me to figure out how we can do like the monitoring, the vital signs and stuff while he was in the rocker. So it was a great.
So you
product.
owe a lot to Four Moms right now.
I'm all in. Yeah, exactly. A lot of inspiration came out of there.
Anyone else?
I think the baby monitor, that you can look at it.
Yeah. For me, I live in a New York City apartment, so I can just have an audio one if I'm not monitoring all their vitals and stuff, because you can hear anything inside a New York City apartment. So, anyone else? Any favorites? So let's flash forward now. Let's say 15 years, 20 years, 30 years down the line. We're done having our own kids. Maybe we're having grandkids, great-grandkids, whatever have you. Is there a category, we've been kind of talking about things that are coming in the pipeline. Is there an area that you're super excited and think is still ripe for innovation that will hopefully be solved by then?
Pumping. I think
Preach.
any working mom out there, or any mom out there, thank you for the hands up. Pumping. I pumped for 12 months, and it's the most inconvenient thing. And we could do so much better for moms, and also by taking care of moms better, do better for baby.
I pumped on the show floor 2 years ago when it was my first time back. CES is not the most conducive environment for that. So yes.
There's some great companies that are trying new things right now, but we've yet to see real consumer adoption of those items. And I think also I would love in a future where the price points are there, the convenience is there, that's not the barrier for women.
Another area that I'm really excited about innovation in, so if any of you innovators want to jump on top of this one, is monitoring all the poops, the feeds, the everything. There are definitely some innovations taking place in this space, but I'm a technologist, I'm a mechanical engineer, and I still found pen and paper to be the best route for it. So anyone out there, I do a call to all of you as well as all of you up here, but that's an area that I'm excited about kind of improvement. So pumps, poop, anything else?
For me, it's preventative healthcare. So right now we have a reactive medical society where you wait until you have a heart attack or a condition before you go to the hospital. I'm excited about all the monitoring, not just for babies, but our technology applies to people of any age, elderly care, sleep apnea, COPD. With these monitors, you could preventatively find out that you might have a problem such as a heart failure or sleep apnea and deal with these issues before they can become a real problem for you. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, I obviously believe monitoring is going to become massive, and I feel it'll be 100%. But what I'm most excited about, even though that's my business, I hope someone solves the sleep problem. Like, how is it
for the parents or for the kids or for everyone?
Everyone needs to sleep. Like, it's 2018, and we still, like...
What is sleep?
We do not sleep. Like, that first whole year, it's just absolutely horrible. So if someone could solve that, I would give you everything I own, so...
In terms of where your companies are going, so you're mentioning you're expanding to different demographics and see it evolving in that way. Where do you guys see Hans, where do you see kind of the next iteration or growth in terms of your company, where it's going?
Yeah, I mean, we're already working on other products in the sleep space, like sleep monitoring, sleep apnea, elderly care is a huge one. People who have memory issues and things like that. The state of the union right now for assisted living is really bad. I mean, they basically have clickers and motion sensors. My grandmother was in one of these facilities. She fell on the floor with a broken hip, and she laid there for 3 hours. No one knew. I mean, I think there's a lot of innovation, and the technology exists to do it. We just have to make it happen.
Fall detection is actually one, for those who haven't been on the show floor, there's actually a lot of devices right now. Apple, obviously, with what they're doing and making it more mainstream and consumer-friendly, but several companies are actually working in that space right now. So it's an area that I kind of have my eye on, and I'm really excited by. And Hans, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but if you want to dive into some future things that you're seeing.
What we are going to do is we just launched it today. We will deliver it from the end of April worldwide, so everyone can enjoy it then. And that's the most important thing right now.
We just announced today, actually, a pregnancy monitor. So, you know, we go on 2 CES awards. It's there at our booth.
Do you mind elaborating on what pregnancy monitor means in this particular instance?
Yeah. So 2 years ago, we said, you know, my wife's a labor and delivery nurse, and we looked at, you know, this is kind of crazy. Every time we get out of our OB appointment, we feel great. Like, we are so excited about this pregnancy, and then the anxiety kind of builds.
You're calmer when you leave.
Yeah. We were great. In the world of pregnancy, it was great. But, you know, as you got farther and farther away until the next appointment, you know, you just start to stress about things. And we said, we want that feeling right after the OB appointment to be every single day. So we said, let's build a band that you can't even tell there's sensors in there, that's collecting fetal heart rate, fetal movement, and maternal sleep position. And let's see if we can build something like that. It was 2 years of pounding our head against, you know, the limits of silicon and what was possible. But we actually launched it today. It's over at our booth. It's really exciting. I'd love for people to go see just how thin the sensors are and how we got that technology together. But you know, that's something we're really excited is to open up monitoring into pregnancy.
Fantastic. I'll just take pause to mention we have 3 founders up here who just launched products less than an hour ago, and I'd say they're all very relaxed and chill up here. But it's really fantastic. That is what CES is, literally launching innovations that are going to be changing, you know, pregnancy, post-pregnancy, the journey leading to pregnancy. So I think it's really super exciting. Is there anything that we didn't really mention that you guys want to talk about in regards to your product, kind of a take-home or something you guys are really excited about?
I'm pretty excited about our exhibit, actually. You should go check it out. You can lay inside there, and you can breathe in and out, and the sound and the light start changing colors. And it was meant to demonstrate the power of our technology, but it's actually a really good meditation booth. Like, you go in there, you do the meditation for 10 minutes, you walk out, and you feel great. So highly recommend you try it out. It's right over there.
I'll just add, I'm excited to dig into more consumer data. Like, I think the insights we get from what people are adding and what people want means that we have the opportunity to meet that need and really respond to consumer needs in a way that is, the mystery is, like, hopefully less of the mystery is there now, and we should do a better job of innovating to actually solve problems. So I'm excited to see even more of that happen, and our data scientist team is building out to actually do that work.
It is really exciting, and I love that everything's becoming more proactive, like we're saying, and like we're just at the infancy of baby technology. Any of you guys have predictions around, when are we going to hit the point where we're in kind of the golden age of baby technology? I don't think that we're there yet. I think you guys are all doing a really great job on the road to it, but is it 5 years out? Is it 10 years out?
I think we're just coming out of the dark age. So we're a ways away from the golden age for sure. Yeah. I mean, when we were going to the ABC Kids is the show for, similar to CES for infants, and it's 4 decades behind, right? Like it is just barely starting, I feel, and I'm pretty excited about it.
I have to say, I think the auto space is probably the only other space that is lagging as far behind in technology as the baby space. I think one of the critical things in it is, you really needed more diversity in the space. I think you have more female founders, not necessarily here, but I know a lot of you guys have partners that are female, and you're working with your wife and hearing insights from it. So it's really an exciting time where things are just starting to happen, and I'm almost bummed that I'll be out of the the baby space parenting boom while all this amazing innovation is happening. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Eric. Did you want to add anything in terms of your predictions?
No, I mean, I think it's always going to keep getting better and better. I don't think there's ever a point where we're going to stop innovating. That's what's great about humanity, right? We're just going to keep making things better and better. The technology, the main trend in technology is that it's going to start to disappear, right? Before you know it, you're going to be monitored all the time. You're going to know if you have to go to the doctor before anything happens, and you're not even going to know you're wearing a sensor. Eventually, it'll just be inside you probably at that point.
Ingestibles.
Exactly.
So I wanted to open up to the audience if you guys have any questions. For any of the panelists up here, more general, just in regards to how things are going, where things are going. It's a really exciting space, just by looking outside and seeing it's literally standing room only here. So we obviously have a lot of people that are interested in this. So if anyone wants to raise their hand with a question.
For the founders up there, what do you see as your most important way of getting to market? Is it through big chain stores? Is it through the internet, through Amazon, through Indiegogo? What's your best way of getting your product to parents?
For us, I think it's different for every brand. For us, we were building a product that no one had ever heard about, and so I remember we did this test with Google Ads. We spent a bunch of money, and a user was Googling baby monitor. They would see this sock thing, and they'd be like, "Whoa, wrong website," and they would just totally leave. It cost us like $1,000 to get one customer. It was ridiculous. So there's, for different brands, there's different things. For us, we had to really build awareness and build understanding. So we had to do a lot of video marketing and Facebook marketing to help people understand, what is this thing, and then the demand would kind of come. So for us, it was all about building the brand.
Yeah, I think it's definitely brand storytelling. You don't want to go in there with feature 1, feature 2, feature 3. You kind of want to show the father traveling around the world that could see his baby from anywhere in the world, or the new parents that are putting the baby in the crib for the first time, and they're very nervous, and they look at the app, and they're reassured the baby's okay. So I think it's all about the storytelling, and once you tell that story well through any kind of media, the awareness will get out there.
That's what us the same. We will create the awareness and then give it to the market, to the different distributors, and then to the stores.
And Eric, let's be honest. The parents are sleeping on the floor. They're not outside on the they're just sleeping.
Yeah, we literally army crawled out of the room Monday night to make sure we didn't wake the baby up when we left.
And I would just add, it's really important context to remember that 2018 was hugely disruptive for the baby retail industry, with the closure of Toys R Us and Babies R Us, with Giggle going bankrupt. It means that the average parent doesn't have a baby specialist retailer to walk into and be consulted on these dozens of categories they're new to the way they used to be. So online direct channels, which I think a lot of you guys have done, as well as distribution through non-baby specialists, have been the way that a lot of new brands have entered market. I think what the flip side means, though, is that it's easier to play but harder to win. Anyone can now spin up a direct DTC store, But because so many people are doing that, it's very hard to stand out the way you used to be able to at a store with an end cap and just own the shelf.
I think a common thread, though, is the consumer-centric nature of all of it. All of you guys want to reach the consumer directly and being able to educate them and share your brand vision, which a lot of D2C brands are able to do. So, any other questions? Any other thoughts prior to? I see one more. Sorry.
You're collecting some of the most intimate and sensitive data around with kids' data, and I wonder if you could just talk about both privacy and security regulation in Europe and how that might be affecting your business, and also how you think about security for that data.
Yeah, we spend a lot of time on security, probably more time than anything else. As far as all the new regulations, the first thing we had to do is redesign and make sure we're compliant with the back end. But we took a lot of steps. One of the main steps is two-factor authentication. Like if a password and username leaks, anyone can download the app and log in. You don't want them to have access to the monitor. You want there to be two-factor authentication where you get a text message or an email with another verification method to make sure that person really has the access. Another thing is when you talk to any kind of cloud server, you need to store your software keys somewhere. A lot of companies put their software keys on the device and they can leak out. So we are one of the first IoT devices that use a crypto chip security. So all of our keys are on a piece of hardware that no one ever has access to the keys, and the chip is actually soldered to the board, and no one has access. So we've taken a lot of precaution, and most of my team's focus is on security.
Yeah, I'd have to echo that, and I think on top of that is how you store the data. You want to be able to anonymize obviously the data, and you want to store the user information and the health information separately in completely different databases, which is helpful.
And I think also as a parent and as a user of a lot of these things, transparency is really key. Not making kind of just like this massive long list and I have to just click agree to it. It's a space where people really want to know where's the information going, what's happening with it, and like you guys just very succinctly made me feel much more confident and comfortable in enabling, these monitors in my home. Yeah. Question up front, sir.
Thank you. You talk about a lot about the sensors and everything. I'm interested in the contents that baby will be interested in, especially digital contents. Will you comment on that, please?
Did you say content?
Content.
Like
yes.
Information? I don't think I have any thoughts around that on content.
Me either.
I think Jocelene and I are probably the two content-focused people. I think that this is a space that it requires a lot of education first. For a lot of the products that you guys are using, if you gave too much information too soon without educating the consumer, it could be very scary and overwhelming. So maybe giving a nudge or a notification and saying, okay, now it's time to go and see your doctor, or we found some kind of anomaly, or whatever it may be. But not just opening the floodgate and saying, here's all the data, good luck with it. I think we're far away from giving a lot of predictive analytics and a lot of kind of proactive stuff, but even just painting a picture and making it clear enough that the user is able to understand it and providing them with kind of the action points around it and saying, okay, now it's time to go see a doctor, which I think all three of you guys are doing in a really mindful way. And Jocelene, similar to a lot of the stuff that we're doing, it's creating content so people are aware that these things exist. As a lot of you guys have your own brands and you're pushing it out, it's also important for, media publications to be able to say, these are things that are happening, these are things that people are interested in as part of the, Babylist and the innovation awards that are coming out of here. We're saying that these are really innovative products that are worthy of your time and of your consideration. So I think that there's a lot of content that's just going to start happening out of the data, out of the different products, out of the innovation, and we're really at the early stages of that still.
Yeah, just to echo, I think our job as folks who are in the content space is about making the content digestible and understandable, not overwhelming. Parents are already overwhelmed. We can do our job to help guide and navigate them through that journey, not make it worse.
I think all of us can say we're trying to make the lives easier, simpler, and enable better purchasing decisions kind of across the board. And that's a common credo that all of us have echoed at some point. One more up in front.
Hello, I'm from South Korea, and I'm very interested in the certifications. Do you guys selling your product only in US or the worldwide? So, do you guys have any site about that?
But BabyScan, we sell it worldwide, and we have the CE and the FCC certification for the consumer electronics.
Yeah, same here. We're internationally certified. We're selling in the U.S. first, but we're going to roll out internationally this year.
Medicare Certification?
That's more of a roadmap. So you start as a consumer device, and then you have to participate in clinical studies, which we are. So the first year or two is just doing these studies, validating your new sensor against pre-existing sensors, and then eventually get the FDA certification. That's kind of our roadmap to getting to that.
We had one more down in front. Thank you, Sarah.
Hello. How are you guys thinking about partnering with large CPG or baby hard good products to enhance your product offering in the marketplace?
So our vision is to build out like an IoT nursery. So like we have like Bluetooth connectivity, so you can integrate with like humidifiers, changing tables, Owlet sock. There's like so many possibilities to kind of pull everything in the nursery together, add intelligence to it, and then show it in one dashboard.
I wouldn't say that we're thinking enough on how to work with CPG companies to incorporate information, because we think about it, but we can tell when a baby's teething, right? We don't know what to do with that, but we can see it in the
I can
data.
offer you a top-tested teether if you'd like.
Yeah, right. But there's opportunity to be able to offer up things as it becomes relevant.
Thank you guys so much. I just want to say thank you so much to the founders, to Jocelene. It's been really incredible having you. I wish all of you an amazing show. Thank you so much. Enjoy.